Welcome back to Yvette's View, where we continue to vibe high on good high vibrations. This is episode 8, entitled Leaving 3D, Walking into 5D. And when I thought about this title and this topic, it puts me in the mindset of the Matrix. You're in two different worlds. One is a false world, and the other one is the real world. And while you're in the 3D, it feels real. You are actually in a world. But what type of world are we in 3D? Is it a simulation? Is it a delusion? Is it a falsehood? Is it really real? Is it R-E-A-L or R-E-E-L? Which real are you vibrating on, right? And as I thought about my own process of leaving 3D and walking into 5D, it made sense as I understood that we were leaving the Piscean age and going into the Aquarian age, where one was in a belief and the other one was in a knowing. However, I want to say that the belief can assist you into the knowing. Because if you believe you can do something and then you attempt to do it, and once you have your experience, then you no longer need to believe it because you had the experience and you know that whatever actions that you took, it actually worked, right? So for me, leaving the 3D, I was ready to get out. And that's another movie that kind of just automatically came on in this video. I didn't even think about that, but until I said the word "get out," right? But I was ready to get out of the matrix, get out of the hamster wheel that was literally having me go around in circles. Billy Preston song, "Will I go around in circles? Can I fly high like the bird up in the sky?" Shout out to Billy Preston, R.I.P. I'm grateful that I was able to be open-minded to see myself differently and to choose a different way of being and a different way of doing things. And all along this journey, I was doing different practices. Like I started to practice the art of silence, to really learn to listen to what people were saying. I started my yoga, which is called Bliss Yoga, that assists me in moving from one dimension to the next, and that I had the ability to create it. And no one can tell me different because I had my experience. This is something I know. Since I've practiced it and I've had my experience in it, it's no longer a belief. There was a time where I believed when other people demonized yoga. They demonized certain practices, certain spiritual practices, but you haven't had your own experience in it. So if you haven't had your experience in it, you can't tell me anything unless you've experienced it. You're only going by hearsay. And even in court, that's inadmissible in the court of law. So what you're saying is inadmissible if you haven't had your experience. I started doing my shadow work and just spiritual work on myself, and then intentionally saying to myself what it is that I want, what it is that I want for myself internally, to elevate myself spiritually, mentally, and physically, to have my health, physical health, work on that and change the way I eat. All of those things kind of assisted me to continue to grow. I'll say that. From the time that I did the yoga, then the next thing that happened was my body started to turn on me. It no longer liked certain foods I couldn't eat. Next thing you know, I'm eating plant-based. Next thing you know, I'm getting deeper and deeper into my spirituality. Next thing you know, I'm going and doing shadow work. Next thing you know, I have left the old way of thinking, the old paradigm shift. I also became aware that I had to change my perception, because the way I used to think about certain things affected my outcome 9 times out of 10, because I would always go towards the negative instead of trying to see, well, why is it that way? Or maybe this particular person had a bad day. It's not personal. That's their issue. And let them have that, instead of me taking everything personal. Once I started to do those practices, just by changing my perspective, changed a whole lot for me, which also, I have to say, continued to shove me and move me right along out of the 3D. Little by little, I was just from here, and I'm constantly taking it all the way up, and I'm continuing to move. I'm continuing to elevate, because that's the intention, that is my purpose, that is my reason to continue to shine in that area. Because in my 3D mindset and world, I would dim my light. I would not want to be authentically me. In fear, false evidence appearing real, that I'm going to be judged and judged harshly, or looked down upon and seen. That mindset held me in a small space, afraid to be seen, afraid for someone to judge me on whether I'm speaking correctly or whether I said the right word, and stammering and stuttering, as I tend to do sometimes, and even kind of just skewing off and going off into another topic. But that's me. And you see the laughter? That is what I love above all, is to get my laugh on. I've always loved to laugh, even in the 3D. I want to say that saved me, was to be able to laugh through it all. Once I had to leave the 3D, it was not something that was a bad thing in a sense. It just no longer fit the evolution of who I am and who I'm becoming and continuing to evolve to be. That space was too small. 3D was choking me in a sense. It was cutting off my oxygen. And I love to take deep breaths and breathe. I like my world and space to be open. And 3D was too confined. And I love that scene in The Matrix when Neo asked Morpheus if he could go back, because he was not really sure that he made the right choice when he took the red pill, I believe it was. And when he was in that simulation and Morpheus was showing him what the real world looked like and the false world, and that he was living in a dream and he was living a lie and didn't really know that he was a slave after all. Neo was not really ready to accept that. And he asked him, can I go back? And Morpheus goes, no. But if you could, would you really want to? And when I thought about just that statement and that question, it was like, I know exactly what he means. Because when you leave something that didn't serve your highest good, when you leave frequencies and energies that literally just kind of kept you down and mad and fussing and complaining all the time, to happiness and laughter and love and loving myself fully and knowing what that feels like and what that's done for me, would I want to go back to the other? My answer would be definitely no, because what I've experienced in 5D is completely unmatched. It doesn't even compare. It's so highly elevated. It's so high class, if you will. And as my twin would say, it's so fun. You know, I'm really prissy now because, honey, I've elevated. I have elevated to the 5D. And in 5D, there's nothing but love all around me. The frequency that I continue to ensure that I have with me on a daily, even if there's a time where sometimes that, matrix will try to slip in and try to throw you off your game, because I'm still here in 3D, but I'm not here in 3D. My experience in 3D has shifted. And the experiences that I continue to have been nothing but bliss. It's been all good, even when it didn't appear to be that it was all good, because the way I'm choosing to perceive it allows it to be not what I would say is a bad thing. All it is, okay, I'm looking at that differently, so okay, then that didn't work, or that wasn't for me. Something else is better for me on the other side of this. It's the same thing as when I do my shadow work. On the other side of the shadow work is nothing but green grass and waterfalls. But when you're in the shadow, when you're in your dark place, or when you go into the dark, there's nothing even wrong with being in the darkness as well, because the darkness can be a place where you can literally just rest. That's a good place as well, because even in your dark place of shadow work that has to do with the work of, healing, I love it. It is delicious over here. That's my word. I love to use that word delicious, because when it's something that tastes so good to you and you just, mwah, 5D feels like that to me. So when I ask myself the same question that Morpheus asked Neo, if you could, would you want to go back? The answer is no. I had my time there. I appreciate that time there, because now I know the difference between 3D and 5D, and they're vastly different. And I love being in 5D. So I was so grateful to be able to leave 3D, but even in that 3D, as I was leaving it, it did not want me to leave. It didn't want me to go willingly. It was doing everything it could to keep me back there. Because you'll realize that I get what you're trying to do, but our time here is done. This is as far as we go. And I can tell 3D, I can appreciate what you've done for me. You've sharpened the iron. You've sharpened this tool. But as I come over to my 5D, I get to rest. I get to laugh. I get to love me fully. And the fact that I thought I loved myself, in 5D, I've been made aware that I had not loved myself fully. And now I can feel the difference of loving myself fully by accepting who I am organically and authentically, and just continuing to be my authentic self, and loving that, whether anyone else loves it or not. I do. I'm okay with me. I'm more than okay with me. The reason why I decided to talk about leaving 3D and going into 5D, it's such a beautiful, delicious, sweet way to live. Because like I said, that love vibration is the highest vibration. And wow, why would I want to live any other way? And I'm hoping that this will bliss someone to want to take their journey so they can not be in their false narrative any longer and elevate to another level, another frequency, another vibration that keeps you whole, keeps you true to you, keeps you true to yourself and others. It's the only way that I know. For me, I'll put it that way. It's the way for me. I'm enjoying it. So with that being said, family, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is the end of episode 8. Look forward to episode 9 coming soon. And don't forget to hit that word all on that notification bell so that you're notified every time I post a video. Vibe high, family. Continue to vibe with that love vibration. Peace.